In the headlines, Nigeria Labour Congress begins nationwide strike on Wednesday over fuel subsidy removal. AFCC quizzes ex-Women Affairs Minister Talent over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. Police recover 10 guns, other weapons at auxiliaries hideout in Oyo State. And from the international scene, death toll surpasses 280, hundreds injured in India's triple train crash, worst in over 2 decades. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in full. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has declared a nationwide strike from next Wednesday to force government fuel subsidy removal. The organized labor takes the position after an emergency meeting of the National Executive Council of the NLC headed by its president, Joe Ajaero, in Abuja on Friday. Kabir Lawal reports.
Forward ever, backward never.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited on Wednesday hiked fuel price from 195 naira to over 500 naira across its retail outlets nationwide. The union leaders accused the NNPCL of fixing prices arbitrarily, saying if allowed to stay, it will subject workers to undue suffering as well as other Nigerians. Nigeria Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero called on the government to reverse the fuel subsidy removal in the interest of Nigerian economy. Failure to reverse to old price, the meeting said, will leave the NLC with no option but to mobilize workers for a nationwide strike starting from Wednesday next week.
The NLC decided that if by Wednesday next week that the NNPC, a private limited liability company that illegally announced a price regime in the oil sector, refuses to revert itself for negotiation to continue, that the Nigerian Labour Congress and all its affiliates will withdraw their services and commence protests nationwide.
Ajaero explained that if the government wants to remove fuel subsidy, it needs to consult critical stakeholders to arrive at alternatives and how to cushion its negative effect on the people.
Until this is complied with, and that NNPC doesn't have the monopoly to act illegally, even as a private company. The NLC NEC therefore directed all state councils and all industrial unions to commence mobilization from this moment.
Nigeria Labour Congress Counsel Femi Falana San explained that government must find alternative to subsidy removal as ensuring welfare of people is the primary responsibility imposed on it by the Constitution.
NNPC Limited, a private company, was alleged to have fixed the prices of petroleum products or jacked up the price. This is clearly illegal. There's no provision for it under the law. So we hope that the government will have to go back to the drawing table and take the whole month, the month of June, to meet with relevant stakeholders to plan and look for alternative solutions to the problem.
Fuel queues have resurfaced and transport fare increased since the subsidy removal was announced. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Trade Union Congress, TUC, has urged the federal government to revert to statu quo ante its decision to remove fuel subsidy. Festus Osifo, TUC president, spoke while addressing newsmen at the end of an emergency meeting of the Congress's National Executive Council meeting in Abuja on Friday. According to Osifo, the TUC is unhappy with the unilateral decision of the federal government to remove the subsidy. He said that the TUC's expectation was that the government should have engaged the organized labor. According to Osifo, it is how the government reacts to TUC's demand that will determine the union's next line of action. Commercial tricycle operators of Bauchi State have expressed anger over the fuel subsidy removal of oil subsidy, saying that the action is not in the interest of the masses, while others have contrary views. Adamu Imam reports that some residents of the state, however, expressed divergent opinions on the development. The report.
Commercial tricycle operators in Bauchi are lamenting the recent increase in fuel pump price. Transport fares have gone up, forcing many passengers to find alternative means of reaching their destinations, leaving operators with low patronage. For instance, I always buy at least 5 to 6 liters of fuel. Now it costs me 3,300 naira, unlike before. What are we gaining now? Can we say we are slaves of the government or what? This is what we depend on to feed our family. So if care is not taken, our mindset will change, and instead of peaceful disposition, we can be the opposite. This kind of work is so tedious, but we don't have any business apart from it. So if we buy expensive fuel and we tell our passengers our fare, they may say they don't have that kind of money. What then can we do? Some Bauchi residents bear their minds on the raging debate on fuel subsidy removal.
I'm 100% support of fuel subsidy removal by the present administration. My reasons are, even though the common man are not even benefiting from the fuel subsidy, for a long time, this is an issue that has been lingering for so many decades. So what we are appealing to the present administration is that they should try at least to bring a palliative that will cushion the hardship on the common man.
The entire summation of the economic composition of the country should be affected. So I'm appealing for the president and including the NNPC and the critical stakeholders in the best interest of the masses and in the best interest of this country. They should please consider the current situation we are in.
Talks between labor leaders and government ended in a stalemate on Wednesday, and workers are threatening nationwide strike. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
In politics, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have continued the presentation of its witnesses at the Presidential Election Tribunal, challenging the election of President Bola Tinubu and his Vice President, Kashim Shettima. The witnesses, who were party agents in Niger, Borno, and Ebonyi State, told the tribunal that the actual election results were not what INEC presented. The Labour Party, on its part, presented election results sheets from Lagos, Oyo, Edo, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Adamawa states, which were admitted as evidence. Counsels to Bola Tinubu, APC, and INEC, however, opposed admissibility of the documents tendered as evidence by the Labour Party.
Now you can see we are continuing with the calling of witnesses in support of our case. We have already tendered our documents as the petitioners. So this is the process of calling oral evidence in support of the documents we've already tendered. Yesterday we called a number of witnesses. Today we've called another set of witnesses. And as we progress, as the days unfold, we'll continue to call witnesses as the case may be.
Meanwhile, the Lamidi Apapa faction of the Labour Party has appealed to Peter Obi, the party's presidential candidate, to withdraw his case, the case filed at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, due to the concerns about his perceived lack of commitment in pursuing the matter. Speaking to journalists in Abuja on Friday, Abayomi Arabambi, the factional national publicity secretary of the party, highlighted that Obi has failed to provide substantial evidence to support his claim since the PAPT sessions begin. or began. Arabambi also addressed the issue of fuel subsidy removal and criticized the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress for rejecting the new pump price of petrol.
When they wrote that letter to INEC that Obi could not pay 1.5 million, who are they deceiving? Council was sick, who are they deceiving? Just 2 out of many of them, they stole a court process when time is already against our party. They are aware that election process are sui generis. It doesn't wait for anybody. And yesterday, like I said, the court had to give them a stand down of 10 minutes to fight their process, but they came back and you heard what the court told them that they are not serious. So where is the stolen mandate that we are running after when the 5 justices unanimously passed a dummy verdict that Mr. Peter Obi is not serious?
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has quizzed the immediate past Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, over alleged 2 billion naira money laundering allegations. The former minister reportedly arrived at the Abuja Zonal Command of the Commission on Friday at 12 p.m. and was grilled by investigators until 8 p.m. Though details of the allegations against the ex-minister were sketchy, a source familiar with the case informed that it bordered on alleged corrupt enrichment to the tune of 2 billion naira. Part of the money was allegedly diverted from the African First Lady Peace Mission project. The spokesperson of the commission, Wilson Uwajeren, could not be reached for confirmation. And now in security, the police in Ibadan have declared Mukaila Lamidi, a former chairman of the State Disciplinary Committee for Park Management System, wanted after discovering a cache of arms at his residence. The former NURTW boss is wanted for alleged armed robbery, gun running, illegal possession of firearms, alleged kidnapping, amongst other crimes. Briefing newsmen at the headquarters of the Police State Police Command in Ibadan, the public relations officer Adewale Osifeso assured residents of adequate security and urged the public to cooperate in sustained efforts against crimes. The report.
It's yet another shocking discovery after a midnight raid on the Olodo residence of the former chairman disciplinary committee for the Oyo State Park Management System. 2 submachine guns, 70 rounds of AK-47 ammunitions, over 400 brand new cutlasses, and other dangerous items have been unearthed.
The Commissioner of Police has ordered a complete restructuring of the security architecture of the command to immediately meet any emerging threats and to completely subdue evolving ones. Moving forward, residents shall witness high-octane patrols, intensified stop and search at designated points across the state, continuous raids of black spots and criminal hideouts, and of course, intelligence-led surveillance activities.
In the sting operation, the dragnet of security operatives also apprehended this young man with substances suspected to be hard drugs worth millions of naira.
On the command intelligence watch list for sales and distribution of drugs was cited in possession of loads of banned substances suspected to be hard drugs during the raid. He has since voluntarily confessed to the crime and identified his distribution network with huge clientele base.
The past few days had witnessed recurring clashes amongst various functions of the Transport Workers Union, purportedly orchestrated by Mukaila Lamidi. In a bid to stem this disturbing tide, security agents have declared the former chairman wanted and have called on the general public to furnish them with information that could lead to his arrest.
You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we take a look at how renewable energy is transforming lives. Details on this and more after the break. Stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Or leading, if you look at England's squad, You are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. And here is a recap of our top stories. We brought you Nigeria Labour Congress begins nationwide strike on Wednesday over fuel subsidy removal. And EFCC quizzes ex-Women Affairs Minister Talen over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. Now moving on to more stories. The 17 suspended local government chairman in Plateau State on Friday say Governor Caleb Mutfwang and the State House of Assembly do not have legitimate power to suspend them, stressing that they are still the legal chairman of their respective local government councils. The chairman disclosed this on Friday in a press conference in Jos, following a press release by the Special Assistant to the Governor, Gyang Bere, on Thursday, suspending the chairman over alleged financial misappropriation. Ado Musa has the more.
The announcement of the suspension of the embattled chairman was first issued by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Nuhu Abok, at the preliminary on Thursday. Some hours after, the State Governor, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, in a statement corroborated the resolution of the House, maintaining that the recommendation for the suspension was based on the chairman's inability to make available records of their income and expenditure to the House since they assumed office. But in a swift reaction to the position of the governor, the chairman said neither the governor nor the members of the State House of Assembly has constitutional power to suspend them.
Before the purported suspension, the 17 local government chairmen and the Legislative Council had approached the court, invoking its interpretative jurisdiction to determine, among others, whether the governor has the powers to terminate, suspend, truncate, or distort their tenure in the light of Section 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which states that the system of local government by democratically elected local government council is under this constitution guaranteed.
The chairman further insists that they remain the chairman of their respective local government areas, pending the determination of the suit against the action of the governor and the House.
We have no force of good, but we believe in the force of the law, and we believe that the force of the law will prevail. We will report this brazen affront on the law to the court, which we had run for protection. We have abiding faith in the judiciary to invoke the disciplinary powers to overturn this unconstitutional behavior. In the eyes of the law, we remain chairmen and councillors respectively until the court determines otherwise.
The chairman described the suspension as politically motivated, stressing that they are ready to defend allegations leveled against them. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, since the inauguration of Dikko Rada as Katsina State Governor on Monday, residents have been expressing divergent views on the areas the governor should give priority. There is, however, consensus among them on addressing security challenges confronting the state. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that the residents set agenda for the new administration that will pilot the affairs of the state till 2027. His report.
Katsina residents have high expectations from the administration of Dikko Rada because of peculiar challenges in the state. Katsina, being one of the frontline states ravaged by insecurity, has been battling with this monster for close to a decade, and many residents expect nothing less from the governor.
Katsina State is bedevilled with so many issues, so many problematic issues, especially when it comes to the issue of security. You know, Katsina State is one of the frontline states that are having the challenge of insecurity. So I think Dukwarada should put more emphasis on tackling security, because without security, even he himself, despite the fact that he will be protected by security agencies, he will not sleep with his two eyes closed if as a very good leader. So he should tackle the issue of security, and in tackling the issue of security, he has to look at what caused poverty in Katsina State.
I sympathize with the new governor, but I pray honestly and sincerely to Almighty God that Dukwarada does not fail. Dukwarada should not fail. Dukwarada cannot afford to fail the people of Katsina State, because really, honestly, everybody in Katsina State is aware, and we are very much desirous of change and improvement in life standards from what we witnessed in the last 8 years.
Another opposer from the residents is whether the administration will find a magic wand to address the problems within a short period of time.
Over the next 4 years, our task as government is to provide peace and prosperity for the people of Katsina State. The insecurity issues will be paramount of this administration, and I will deploy all available resources to end banditry and criminality across the state, inshallah.
Political observers from within and outside the state are interested in seeing what the governor can do in his first 100 days in office. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
As the world grapples with the effects of climate change, many communities are turning attention to renewable energy sources to reduce carbon emission. In Katsina State, the inadequate electricity supply has forced many to adopt solar energy as an alternative. In this report, Jamil Mabai highlights the impact of government's failure to provide basic needs such as electricity to citizens. Take a look.
Businesses, households, and corporate offices are switching to solar energy. According to them, it is reliable and carbon footprint friendly.
The greatest importance of solar is giving you energy independence. You do not have to rely on the main grid electricity for you to use electricity. It gives you efficiency, it gives you productivity, it also gives you peace and satisfaction. Governments, organizations, and NGOs all over the world are trying to find ways to cut down on this carbon emission that we are having in the world. Solar is one-stop shop for this.
Recent statistics show that the average number of solar energy users in Katsina State has increased from 5 to 9% in the last 2 years.
This is a set of scan alert.
This is primarily because many people have lost trust in government's ability to provide their basic needs.
You do not have to rely on the main grid electricity for you to use electricity. It is an example is you get home at 10 p.m. in the night, having a work to do, without having to wait for NEPA, PKEDCO to bring light for you. You just get ahead work.
The lack of electricity in Katsina has been a major challenge for businesses, forcing many to rely on expensive and environmentally harmful generators. Abubakar operates a poultry farm that requires constant energy supply. He believes that utilizing solar energy will give him an edge over his competitors.
We need constant light from the day you put your eggs for hatching. That was why we had to go back to solar energy. If we rely on government electricity, it will fail us. Generators can be faulty sometimes. plus services and petrol, the easiest way was to go back to solar energy.
Solar energy is becoming increasingly popular despite its high installation cost. It is a wise long-term investment that pays off in the end. Not only it is cheaper in the long run, but also environmental friendly. Jamilu Mobay, Trust TV, Katsina.
Now from the international scene, at least 288 people were killed and hundreds more injured in a three-train collision in India, officials said on Saturday, the country's deadliest rail accident in more than 20 years. Now, wreckage debris was piled high at the crash site near Balasore in the eastern state of Odisha, where some carriages had been tossed far from the tracks and others flipped over entirely. Smashed train compartments were torn open in the impact late on Friday, leaving blood-stained holes in their sides. Survivor Arjun Das told a Bengali television channel he heard a thundering sound, then saw people falling from upper berths. The disaster began when an express train running north from India's tech hub Bengaluru to Kolkata derailed, falling onto the adjacent southbound track. Sudhanshu Sarangi, Director General of Odisha Fire Services, said that the death toll stood at 288 but was expected to go higher, potentially approaching 380. And lastly, in sports news, Remo star duo Frank Mawene and Issa Ali have been ruled out of the Nigeria Premier League Super 6 playoffs. The Sky Blue Stars head coach Daniel Ogumodede disclosed this in a chat with the media. Togolese Mawena, a striker, was ruled out of the competition after failing to recuperate from an injury he sustained during the regular season. Ali, who is a defender, is still recovering from a meniscal tear on his left knee. Now, Remo Stars will take on Eyimba in their opening game of the Super 6 playoffs at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onika, Lagos on Saturday. The competition will run from June 3rd to June 11th. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust TV News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.